I'll tell you, it's amazing to me if Jaden was mentioning, work smart. And in this business, you guys take risks to complete a job, hoping that there's profit at the end. So one of the things that I'll go into is on the profit side, what can you guys do to try to increase the profit margin, to focus on your profits? And sometimes you find profits in things that you don't really, it's not so obvious. So I'll go through and talk a little bit about when you're doing public works, there's something called fringe benefits. That's the employer side of the prevailing wage. I talked about how we can utilize those to lower some of your costs and to increase some of your profit margin. Okay, and then after I get done going through that, Marcia Pappas, she's going to go through and talk about how do you wrap it all together. You know, you have ideas on trying to manage your bonding, ideas about compliance. I talked a little bit about some compliance stuff. But really having an efficient office, having a system to process the paperwork, the things that you're required to do. And then Bradford was talking about that they can go back 2 years and do an audit. Being able to go back 2 years after a job's done, all your focus is on your current job. And all of a sudden you want to get audited and they're going to audit you on something you did 1.5 years or 2 years ago. It really helps having the system. If you have something to walk back to and say, oh, here's the information I need, that makes your life a little bit easier. You can still focus on your current job and still keep your profits up instead of getting bogged down on trying to fall back on what you did before. So we'll go through some of that as well. Before I get going, has anybody already done a prevailing wage job? Okay, so you have some experience with that. Do you have any general contractors? What about subcontractors? Okay, so whether you're a subcontractor or a general contractor, you have to follow the same rules. You have to make sure you're paying the right prevailing wage, the right wage determination. There's some other rules as well, some legal parts of it as far as posting your the wage determination and some of the other things you're supposed to do. Next week, actually, and as my computer's coming up to date, next week we have a prevailing wage law workshop. It's going to be in Pismo Beach. This is what Tom Kovacic goes over. Okay, Tom Kovacic, this is our 7th year actually doing this workshop, and he goes through and details exactly the things that you need to be doing. And talks about, and he's been doing it for 30 years, so a lot of times he actually, was part of the law being written and finding out why did they do it this way? What's the interpretation on that? And sometimes that really helps you understand why are they doing it this way and what direction are they heading. So if there's any 2 workshops I do in a year about prevailing wage, something like this would be one, and then really the prevailing wage law workshop next week would be one you want to spend some time on. Because it'll be 4 hours of good information. You walk away with some kind of something to reference. When you have questions, you can go back and reference it. But also it's good to be able to have Tom Kovacic in your Rolodex too. So if you run into a question, you say, wow, I don't have the time to figure it out myself. I would like to call somebody that knows it and get the information. Tom would be available to do that. So that would be, that's next Thursday, the 25th. It's in Pismo Beach, and it's at Steamers. Okay? You can find the flyer for it actually on the website, San Luis Obispo. They have that on their website, and the same thing with Santa Maria Contractors Association. It's a joint workshop between the associations, and they've been doing this for several years now, bringing you guys good information so you guys can stay up on it. The next part I'm going to go through and talk a little bit about Contractor's Advantage. Because I really think that if you create a procedure or a process, and in the beginning, you kind of start with the end in mind. Which the end in mind is winning the bid, right? But also, one step beyond that is making sure you're profitable. Right? So it's kind of interesting is you start with the end in mind, but then you got to go a little bit further. Because you want to make sure that your profits are good enough so you can keep bonding, so you can go back and bid again. So there's kind of a system here. A couple strategies I think are successful when you do public works. The first, you have to win bids. If you're not winning the bid, then you're not getting the work. So my thought is, if you're going to bid on a job, if we see a job with 25 people bidding on it, hopefully every one of those people, all those contractors, are bidding to win. Meaning they know exactly what their costs are, they know where they're good or they're strong or they're weak, and they're bidding on it to their best ability. Once you get the job, you can figure out if you want to adjust things around a little bit. So before you adjust things around, you want to make sure you're bidding as efficiently as you can. The second thing is retaining your best employees. This business, I've seen a lot of turnover. There's employees that come and go from one company to the next. But one of the things I've seen the smart contractors do is that the good ones, they do everything they can to build those relations. Keep the best. Because down the road, you might go from 10 to 50 and back to 10, but hopefully on the way back down, the 10 you have are the strongest of them. Okay? Because that's what's going to make your company successful, is efficiency in your personnel. And then lastly is increasing profits. The fact is, we're not in this business, you guys are not in this business to lose money. You guys are in this business to be profitable. And all the rules are kind of against you, right? Prevailing wage laws, you've got to follow those. Bonding, you've got to follow those bonding rules. When it comes to benefits, all the ERISA rules are based on how to protect the employees. That's not how to protect the company owner. So you have to always keep in mind what's in your best interest, because you're the only one that's doing that, right? Do you ever feel that way? Absolutely. Prevailing wage fringe benefits. First, both Davis-Bacon and state prevailing wage, they all require there to be a benefit portion to that wage. So when you look at that payroll, that wage determination, or the contract on a federal job, the federal job actually has a detail, exactly what kind of job class you have and what the benefits are. On the state side, on that wage determination, you have to determine that, right? So you guys are up for that. Union contractors, they typically pay all the fringes, all the employer payments, right into benefits, right? So you pay it in, and they take care of the whole package for you. Open shop or non-union contractors, it's completely up to you. Your benefit package, you design, which can be a really good deal. Public Works has a lot of money, prevailing wage has a lot of money in fringes. You can create an amazing package to retain people. There's also some ways of utilizing that to help benefit the owners. It really opens up a couple other doors too. I'll talk a little bit about that. So sample wage determination. This is for a laborer in San Luis Obispo, and you'll see that the base hourly rate is $26.33. Everything after that is all employer payments. So employer payments, are they taxed the same as wages or different than wages? They're taxed differently than wages. So wages have all the payroll tax and labor burden to it. All these other payments, all the other payments like the training, vacation, pension, health, welfare, those are employer payments, and based on how you allocate those will be based on how you're taxed. Okay, now training, of course, we all know that training has to go to a training facility, right? But everything else there, you design. So either you can put it back on base wages, which a lot of smaller non-union contractors do. The first thing to do is, let's make it easy. Let's at least take care of our requirement. We'll put it on wages. So the first thing they do is they put it on wages. But what they don't realize is how it affects them. Okay, so right now we can see just on a labor, almost 40% of the total compensation package are benefits. In the real world, do you see anybody getting 40% of their total compensation in benefits? Absolutely not. I don't see it. There's nowhere out there that I see that's happening. So when you look at $15.09 an hour, that's a lot of money going towards benefits. Health, welfare, pension, you name it, you create it. Okay? So, what are prevailing wages? What are those fringe benefits? Well, the California Code says that they shall be deemed to include employer payments for health, welfare, pension, vacation, travel time, apprentice. So they kind of describe kind of what are the standard, but there's other types of benefits out there too that you can set up. It just has to go through a process of making sure that they're a bona fide benefit. But I've seen contractors try to do all different types of stuff. My recommendation is to stay with the ones that are the most common, like health, welfare, pension, things like that, and vacation. So there's some advantages. The advantages for the company can be huge. And the reason for that is that benefits are taxed differently than wages. So if you have 40% of the overall compensation with no tax, without workers' comp, all of a sudden you're saving money, right? Employees, I can tell you that an employee, if they work with a contractor straight for 15 years and all that money is being used towards pension,